Within modern society, it is becoming increasingly clear to a growing number of us that something has gone horribly wrong. The rich keep getting richer, the poor keep getting poorer, the global temperature continues to rise at alarming rates, and racial tensions appear to be getting worse. All while millions of people are unable to secure consistent food or shelter for themselves or their families, and the government does nothing to alleviate this suffering. Many have begun searching for answers as to why the world appears to be getting worse and how they can fix it. And in their searches, a growing number of them are being pulled towards the left, towards Marxism. If you grew up in the West, the term Marxism may sound scary or even dangerous to you, despite the fact that you likely don't really have an understanding of what Marxism actually means. In essence, Marxism is a scientific and analytical framework used in order to understand the material realities of any given situation. Laid out initially by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels and expanded upon by numerous others over time, a Marxist analysis of society generally claims that the history, culture, political structures, and ideology of any given society are reflections of the material and economic realities within that society. It is a tool by which we analyze and understand the past, present, and future. Essentially, to a Marxist, the primary force behind the movement of human history is production, and the relation that people within society have towards production, which in turn determines their class. Historically, human societies have divided themselves into upper and lower classes, with the upper class generally having control over or directly owning the means of production, or in other words, the tools, resources, and facilities that enable production to take place, and the lower classes, who generally work the means of production for the ruling class. Each class has its own interests that are primarily determined by these relations to the means of production, wherein the interests of the ruling classes and lower classes are, by their nature, irreconcilably opposed. In modern class society, this opposition manifests itself in the form of the capitalist ruling class, who own the means of production, generally in the form of factories, machinery, or other such common workplace appliances, and the working class, who sell their labor to the capitalists, who need people to work the previously mentioned means of production. It is naturally in the interest of the working class to retain the largest proportion of the profit that they produce while working, whereas the capitalists have an interest in extracting as much profit from that work as they feasibly can. This profit, taken by the capitalist, is called surplus value, and is the primary means by which the capitalist class and system exploits normal working class people. Corporations essentially steal value that they themselves did not create. Capitalism is also prone to periodic crises, wherein the entire economic system collapses every 10 to 15 years, such as the 2008 financial crisis, or even the current crisis brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic. The reason that society feels so untenable and unlivable to so many of us, especially of the younger generations, is exactly this inbuilt economic exploitation and precarity. The instability caused by the contradictions in class interest makes society unstable and can only be resolved through a working class revolution. For instance, feudalism, the previous form of class society, was characterized in its waning years by the contradictions between the ruling aristocratic and lower capitalistic classes. These contradictions would be resolved through revolutionary struggle, such as that of the French Revolution, which asserted the dominance of capitalism over the hereditary aristocrats within society across much of Europe. Likewise, according to a Marxist analysis, the same is true of the current contradictions, where the oppressed class of workers must overthrow and replace the capitalist system with their own. Socialism. The Marxist Literature Collective is an organization which aims to educate as wide of an audience as possible on socialism, anti-imperialism, and progressive issues using a Marxist framework. We do this through a combination of online content, the links for which can be found in the description below, and through action in our local communities. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for similar content. You can also find us on Patreon, where we offer exclusive content for patrons who help support the MLC.